Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 6 o'clock, time for us to begin our meeting. Certainly happy to see all who've come tonight and looking forward to having a truly successful meeting. Some wonderful things we're going to hear from, and I think that'll encourage all of us. Let's begin first with the invocation. Pastor Mary Metzger, St. Thomas Lutheran Church. Appreciate her work, and since she's been in our community, and the opportunity for fellowship.
Thank you for the privilege to be with you this evening. Please pray with me. Sovereign God, we give thanks for this day, for the city of Richmond and all of its inhabitants. We ask your blessing on all who are gathered here this evening. Bless our commissioners and our mayor, that they may do their work in the spirit of wisdom, kindness, and justice. Help them to use their authority to serve faithfully and promote the well-being of this diverse community. In your most holy name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mary. Jackson, you're here. This is Jackson Wilson, Boy Scout Troop 401. Let me just mention, there are copies of the agenda immediately behind the attorney there where he's pointing. If someone would like to have a copy of the agenda for this meeting, there are copies available. This is Jackson Wilson from Boy Scout Troop 401. We're at your disposal, sir.
May everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll pledge my allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jackson. Do you want to say anything to us tonight about your troop?
So we're Troop 401. Right now we have one person that's about to become Eagle Scout. His name's Colin Douglas. And right now he's working at a lake right now. He is helping with the fish habitat. He has been bringing trees in to set in the lake for a fish habitat for the eggs to...
We got you.
Yeah. But that's all I really got to say.
Outstanding. That's what. Fine job, sir. Fine job. We'll have you to lead our next meeting here.
He's like, nope.
And thank you, Jennifer, for all you do with the Scouts and so on. Yes, indeed. You got a parent here with you? Is there two? There, oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Welcome. Thank you for coming. We'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Newby.
Here.
Commissioner Brewer.
Here.
Commissioner Cole.
Here.
Commissioner Noble.
Here.
Mayor White.
Here, thank you. Our first presentation this evening is from the coroner's office by way of our coroner, Jimmy Cornelison, and welcome, sir. Appreciate the work you do, service you give.
Well, again, thank you for the opportunity to come before you, kind of give you an oversight of what we've been doing for the last 12 months or 13 months. I don't know if it's good news or bad news. I had 69 overdoses in 2022, and I had 69 in 2023. Is that good news or bad news? Well, there's not much good about it. But, you know, at least we didn't go up. We'd gone up considerably from the year before. Why is that? What's the changes in it? I don't know. I know that the officers are carrying Narcan. That could be making a difference. Lots of people are carrying Narcan. When I listen to the radio, you know, somebody's passed out somewhere, and the next thing you know, they've got them too. Of course, we've got a good EMS, and you know that I'm going to say that. But it's just, we started off what I would consider very slow this year, but we're striving to catch up over the last 2 weeks. It's you know, we can always tell when there's something new in town, and I was just talking to the Bria Mayor about the number of calls that we had in his jurisdictional area, and they've gone up. And I guess the best way to put it, if somebody wants it, there's going to be somebody that gets it for them. You know, if you've got the money, they've got the time. But at least we're not breaking 100 or something like that. We do, you know, with the Narcan and everything, lots of times these people are resuscitated. Unfortunately, they end up being brain dead, maybe organ donors, and they don't necessarily fall in my jurisdiction, especially if they go to Fayette County. So is this an absolute number? No, but it's as good as I can get you, okay? We don't assign more than one number to every call we go on. I don't care how many people go, it's just one call. So those numbers I can tell you. Housed probably between 90 and 100 bodies in our morgue last year. That's a lot. That's a lot. Why is that number so significant? Or why is it even a number? Well, we come across so many people now, you know, our homeless population and where we're located on I-75, you know, it's a blessing and it's a sin. But we find so many people that died by themselves. I mean, they're all alone and there's nothing there to give us any direction on where to find the next of kin. And I mean, it becomes a monumental task sometimes to do that, because one of my main things, but probably my biggest priority, especially if it's an unexpected death, a traffic accident, a suicide, which I'll talk about here in just a minute, whatever, is to get the family notified. Because of these things right here, and people holding them up at wrecks and taking pictures and stuff, and I can't get a good shot at them, but maybe someday I will. It's just, you know, it hits Facebook and hits everything, and people figure it out. You know, I'll have families call me, you know, and I'm still at the scene. So, you know, all those things come into play. And with that, I will tell you, you know, that as of today, I got rid of our last body. We've had as many as 9 bodies in there within the last 2 months. But the last body went out today, and I probably shouldn't have said that, but still, it's a good feeling when you found somebody for everybody. Yeah. You know, and that's something that kind of haunts us a little bit. I want to give accolades to the police and fire department. And I'll give you a prime example, and I'm sure you'll remember this. On Tates Creek several months ago, we had a horrendous accident. It was horrendous. The kid who was driving the truck played Little League Baseball for me. And I watched 2 fire departments. I watched the city fire department and the county fire department. I watched them put their heads together. 20 years ago, people, that would not have been done. I don't care what anybody tells you. I'm telling you right now, whose turf is this and whose turf is that. Because the vehicles were, there's no way I can explain it to you, but they were so locked in together, and we didn't have any access to the victim, and they sit there and figured it out. I mean, that's their expertise, and, you know, I actually stood back and took a picture of chiefs talking in the middle of the road and pointing and things like that. So that is such an asset, and not just for your city, but for this whole county. You know, it just makes things work so much better. Again, last year, we had so many decomped bodies. There are people, again, that are alone, and it still amazes me how I can be dead in apartment A for 2 weeks, and you don't know it in apartment B, when I know it when I get out of my truck. I'm telling you the absolute truth, and it's mind-boggling to me why you didn't notice something, or why did you not notice that they weren't out. You haven't seen them in a week or 2. But anyway, those runs like that, especially with the fire department, because last year I thought I was Jim Newby's age, he could pick up the world, and hurt my shoulder. Thought I'd torn my rotator cuff. Then it was torn, and then it was bruised, and then it was everything, and elected not to do surgery. and it's pretty good now. So I'm not going to complain of it. But during that point in time, the fire departments in this county helped me tremendously because, I mean, they'd push me out of the way. You don't need to be picking this up. So it's an education for young firemen, you know, and I will tell people right out of the chute, hey, listen, if this is not what you want to do in here, if you can't handle this right now, I understand. Step outside the door. There's not going to be anyone laugh at you because I've probably seen every one of them in here turn green before. So don't let that be an issue for you. Suicides, unfortunately, are up, and we've already had a couple this year. And I don't understand that, you know, but it's a reality now. Other corners that I talk to, they're seeing the same thing. I don't know if it's despair or no hope or whatever it is, it is. But that is, those calls like that wear on everybody, you know, everybody, not just the coroner and his deputies, but the police and everyone else who gets to be involved in that. The one thing that I also want to tell you is the police department. I want to give you just a prime example of what happens. Last week we had found a gentleman dead probably 2 months ago in an apartment. He worked for Bechtel Parsons. We finally got connected. His father was 90-something years old in New York, had a family member or family member in Florida. So they finally got here, and they had gone to the police department because they needed to be able to get into the apartment to check what was in there. And I mean, they had no true direction where to go. And so when they came to see me, I had some of the belongings. I had some keys to his vehicles, what I had. They'd call next. Well, they had just been to the police department, and whoever was handling the evidence for that day or that point in time, they weren't there, which can't be there all the time. I understand that, not blaming anybody. But I could tell these gentlemen, and one of them was retired from the police department, you know, they needed to get this done. They needed to settle this. And I called Chief Richardson, and I said, Rodney, here's the deal. And he said, I'll call you back in about 5 minutes. Because they'd been told that, you know, how long it might take to get this, and they needed to get back to their families. And within 5 minutes, he called me back and told me that to have them come back to the police department and to speak to, just walk in the lobby and ask for a certain officer. And Rodney, I'm assuming it was taken care of. Yeah, because I told him, I said, if it's not, you call me back. I said, but I believe that you're on the right track. And before they left, the guy was leaving the morgue, and he turned around and said, you know, I've been in this business, but evidently you all do things a lot different here. Doors were opened, and, you know, and things were taken care of. So that's very, very important. It puts a bright light on our community. And, you know, if there's something, family in need that needs something, then that's what we want to do. We want to take care of them. The last thing, and not least, that I want to speak of is if you see a Tahoe parked out back that's across in the parking lot, not parallel park that's mine, okay? Because I don't want you opening your car door on it. And, well, it's okay. I park like that at Waco in the store. They know it, but if I'm, no. Anyway, I want to thank you all. Thank you all for the kind gift of that vehicle. I mean, it's, I finally got my pillow out of it. I slept in it for 2 nights. But it is a great asset to, excuse me, the fleet we have. We have another detective's vehicle that they called us about. You know, detectives don't hurt theirs like these other guys do out here, and rightfully so, and which Carlos Cole, my chief deputy, is driving now. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that. It's just, it was a great thing for you to do. I thought it was a joke. Now, I did. I really did. And I'm sorry, Rob. I thought I was going to walk in somewhere and there was going to be an inflatable or something. You know, I really didn't think that this was going to come true, but I do appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions for me or anything I can try to answer for you?
Jimmy, I just want to say how much I appreciate the update, and the things that you and your staff deal with are, gut-wrenching.
At
And
times, they certainly are. Yep.
It's gut-wrenching, and you deal with families when they're at their most stressed, maxed out.
Very vulnerable.
Very vulnerable.
Right.
It gives me goosebumps when I hear you talk, but I just always in the community hear really good things about you and your staff, and I know you all are experienced, and I know you love Richmond and Madison County. and
Absolutely.
I just thank you for your service. I don't know how you do it, but I thank you.
Well, I enjoy my job. I love my job. And as long as my health stays good, I'm going to do it as long as I can, as long as y'all have me. And like you say, and seriously, in my career, if I've said this one time, I have said it 1,000. And I'm not just casting that number out. But, you know, when something unexpected happens, and I'll have a family that will look at me and say, I don't know what we're supposed to do now. And my answer to them universally is, well, the first thing we're not going to do is make a knee-jerk reaction. We'll sit down here and talk this out. If you don't, if you have, you know, lots of people don't make plans. If you don't have a funeral home and there's family away and you don't know what you're going to do, you know, I've got a cooler. I know I put high emphasis on things, but listen, I go to places they have nothing. And when I moved to where I'm at right now, Judge Taylor bought me a new walk-in cooler, and it's, the door just swings back and forth with the numbers that I just told you. But I want to thank you all for that. You know, I do enjoy what I do, and if you could just do a little spark, if you pick up the phone and call a neighbor, or if you call the next another person, you know, I do not like to call the next of kin on the telephone. I will do everything I can not to do that. But like I say, sometimes they beat me to it. I'll knock on the door. I don't care where it is. If it's in my county, and if it's not, if it's somewhere in another county, I will call the coroner in that county, and hopefully they'll go knock on the door. Lots of times they turn it over to the police. I do not think it's the police responsibility, although I take police with me when I go. It's a lot easier for those people to look out the window and see a blue light than see Jimmy Cornelison standing in the doorway. You know, you get met with people with guns in their hand, and if I was on the other side of that door, that's the way you would meet me. I get it. I understand. Anyone else?
There's a lot I could say. We've been through some pretty crazy stuff together.
Yeah, buddy.
But I
There's
appreciate
a lot I remember.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Urban Road.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you know, my wife always, she doesn't, well, she doesn't like to ride around with me. I don't think she likes to be seen with me, but I hope she's not watching that. But anyway, you know, and we'll just be driving somewhere, and I'll start saying what happened there and what happened there, and then I think, gosh, you know, this is amazing.
Crazy.
But it is what it is. I chose it. I knew what it was when I took the job, and I still enjoy it if I can just give a little something back every once in a while to a family.
Jim, let me say this, two things. One, we appreciate, as Commissioner Coler said, what you do, but more so as I've had interaction with you at certain times that were just not pleasant.
Correct.
It's the way you do it, the compassion that you show, and how families know, even though they may not be able to get their heads organized,
Right.
they know that you're going to be there and you're going to be available. You are experienced enough to know perhaps some of the things that could be going through their hearts and minds. Thank you for what you do, but the way you do it.
You know, there's some things that kind of duplicate themselves a lot. One of them is lots of times when I leave families, and I'll write my cell phone number on the back of it, I say, because within an hour, something's going to pop into your head, and you're going to want to call me, and I don't want you to have to call through dispatch. Here it is, and it's just inevitably. Or some other family member comes in, well, what about this, or this? And I tell my staff, I say, look, there's no reason for us to make anybody mad. You know, that's not part of this job. Now, it's not all roses, because when I mention autopsy and people don't want that, they have to understand that it really doesn't make any difference. that if I think a crime has been committed, or if I do not know or have a good medical history why this person is dead, especially a young person, you know, I'm gonna do an autopsy. And I will tell you, I have never had someone who has said to me before, I don't want you to do that, don't do that, I'll get a court order to stop you, and I've heard that. It hasn't come back and said, you know, we'd never known, would we? Especially if, in a case I will give you where a very, very young man had not one aortic aneurysm, he had two, 20 or 21 years old. And I'm trying to, you know, why is he dead? Well, the first thing everybody comes up in everybody's mind is it's an overdose. And I said, we can't go to that. And because of his age, we did that. There were other siblings, and, you know, medically, they needed to be treated too. But they had never, the medical examiner's office had never seen, the one had bursted, but the other one had not. You know, the aneurysm is just a thin-walled vessel that under pressure will sometimes burst. But, you know, and Carlos, my chief deputy, has just made a pamphlet, little pamphlet about like that threefold, and it's got most asked questions. So instead of, it's got all our information on there, so lots of times now, instead of giving a card, we'll give that out. They can look at it, there's a place for notes, and they can write our number, and it will do whatever they want to do. And that's a big asset, because there are questions. Who gets an autopsy? Who doesn't? Who gets a toxicology? Who doesn't? You know, can I cremate? Can I take them out of the state? There's lots of questions that people don't know, because you don't do it every day, you know.
The other thing I wanted to mention,
Okay, sir.
there are at least three of us. There's Pastor Virgil Gardner, there's Pastor Mary Metzger, and there's the pastor sitting up here next to Tammy. I say that in all seriousness because I'm going to ask our pastors of this community, and share with others if you want, the work that he does, first of all, requires something unusual. But also, the work that you do serves us. And I'm going to ask, Pastor, that we would, in our congregations, remember this man and his office,
Thank you.
and the work that he does, that he might find some kind of strength, some kind of, and I cannot imagine, but to help you with the work that you do for us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you for the opportunity.
How many years? Jimmy, how many years?
It's been somewhere around here.
What was it?
I was elected, I was sworn in 1999, okay, as a coroner. Went to work with the coroner's office in 1987. And in that interim, so you figure that out, it's close to 40. And, you know, in between there were 37 and a half years at EMS. You know, I had to get out of EMS because some people like my group.
I rode with you.
Some
You
might
drove
even,
me.
some may have forgotten if they ever knew that you went down in the midst of Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
You went down and spent time in Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
Represented us in assisting, oh no, we talked about that, but
Glenn Bishop to go back there again. I don't care what's down there. I worked 5191 plane crash.
yes.
Yes.
I remember
That
that.
was really something, because we had
People from this county, yes, indeed.
kind of struck home.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, now. Tammy. Been lots of discussions over the past many, many months regarding a joint regional PDI, Product Development Initiative, I believe is what that is, update. And Lucas Witt is here tonight. He has served in consulting along the way through these discussions, et cetera. And we've tried to get him here before. Schedules didn't mesh. Happy that he's able to be with us tonight. And Lucas, you just, if you will, and then we'll have a time for some questions. I'm sure there'll be some. I've had a greater opportunity to follow the project along and so on and here. So if you would, please.
Well, good evening. I appreciate the commission working with my schedule. I couldn't make the last one. I was at Disney World with the kids. We have a nearly 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, which some would argue is far too young to go, and they might be right, but here we are. For those who don't know me, my name's Lucas Witt, and my company, we're based out of Lexington. We do economic development, real estate work across the state, and have worked through this particular program here many times. And we've also specifically worked with the city of Brea, believe it or not. They were our very first client way back when, and we've had the opportunity to continue to work with them, and are now also working with Madison County on economic development initiatives. So this is a project that is something we're very excited about, and believe we've made a lot of progress. Just from a starting point, I think it's helpful to kind of point out who's currently involved in this, because it's a significant deal in terms of the players on the screen. Back in April of last year, this group came together to begin working towards a regional opportunity, which started with submitting an application within this program. So, and again, it's wild to believe that was last April. It's been almost 12 months of work, and we've made a significant amount of progress since then. Just as a reminder, I know the commission members and the mayor and all else involved are familiar with this program. David Stipes, who is here, has been very successful working through it for the Industrial Development Authority in the past. But as a reminder, the program was funded back in 2021 of $100 million in the pot to allow for communities across the state to apply for funding to build out infrastructure, to acquire new sites, to essentially get themselves ready proactively to hopefully recruit new and or existing expanding companies. And that was done because thankfully Kentucky's had some success recently, where a lot of the good, what we call product in the industry, which is sites and buildings, have been taken up by companies. So just like a company, you have to reinvest, and that's the purpose of this program. I think it's helpful from a data perspective to kind of know the history of the program, and since it's relatively young. So again, $100 million, that first round, there was nearly 60 applications, but of the 100, only $34 million was spent. And the reason is they had population stipulations put on the amount of money that each community was able to receive. So the amount of people you had limited the amount of money. Well, going into the second round, which was the one that we worked on last year's application, they changed that to where each community was now eligible for up to $2 million. That way they could hopefully get through the money, knowing that we're going into another legislative session this upcoming year. With that being said, that particular, well, I'll get that in a minute in terms of how that round 2 ended up going about. So regionalism, that's what we're talking about here. So I just thought it was important to maybe point out a couple of components of why regionalism is hopefully a good idea, and also that it's been talked about for a bit now. So the Cabinet for Economic Development, again, when they restructured the Round 2 program, they put a strong emphasis on regional applications, and that means just multiple communities, more than one, not just cities, not just counties, but multiple coming together to submit together. The reason is we have 120 counties across the state of Kentucky. Most likely not every single one of those counties has a $2 million project, which is the limit. And I didn't say this before, but the program requires a 1-to-1 match, right? You request $2 million, you have to put $2 million in. You're doing a $4 million project essentially for 50% off, right? So when I say $2 million, it's really $4 million. Not every single county has a $4 million project to do. So by doing a regional deal, it allows, maybe much smaller communities to get in the mix on a project that they probably wouldn't have been able to get in the mix on before, right? Commerce Lexington, just up the road, has been preaching regionalism for some time now. Why is that? A lot of reasons. But specifically when you look at Commerce Lexington, and really Lexington, they don't have a lot of land to market to companies for a lot of different reasons. I'm a Lexington guy through and through. We're very proud of our urban service boundary, right, wrong, or indifferent, and that makes it difficult, right? So Commerce Lexington, through their credit several years ago, started pushing, working together with other communities, which formed the Bluegrass Alliance, which is a 9-county regional partnership that Commerce Lexington runs, that Richmond and Berea and Madison County are all involved in. Regionalism is a frequent conversation, and I think it's important to note that where economic development projects have gone today, companies don't see city lines, they don't see county lines. What they see is who's supporting them, who's going to help them be successful in their project. Oftentimes, they become confused maybe when they drive 10 minutes down the road and they're meeting with totally different leadership, right? That they don't see city and county lines. They just want to know who can help them be successful, which goes to the need for regionalism. Again, from a recap perspective on the PDI program, this last round had $66 million left. There were nearly 90 applications, which equated to $120 million worth of requests. It was an ultra-competitive program, and fast forward to today, where we are, funding was recommended of $66 million, so about half of them didn't get funded. I shouldn't say half, roughly of the 90, about 50-something applications have been recommended for funding, which includes this regional project. We've been recommended for funding, which we are now working towards formal approval from the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development. What does that mean if this project continues to be successful? What's in it for all the communities that are strongly considering putting their dollars into this thing? Well, revenue sharing, right? The idea is depending on the amount that you put in will depend on how much you reap if the project is successful. So interlocal agreements will eventually be entered into, which state how the revenue from the project, occupational tax, property tax, insurance premium tax, and so on, will be shared amongst the partnership. And that's truly what it is. It's a partnership, right? You are going into a project with multiple people, and your percentage will dictate what you profit from it, right? Again, it's a one-to-one match, so whatever we request, the partnership comes up with the money to match those dollars. A little bit about the proposed project. This is an economic development project, so from a confidentiality perspective, you can't go through all of the nuts and bolts, but I think it's important to note that the idea of this regional group is long-term. We want this thing to be successful. I should say they want this for this to be successful. So, sites across Madison County and Scott County have been considered. And as of right now, this first particular project is a particular site located in Scott County. It's a little further along. There is an option agreement in place on that particular piece of property. But the hope is in the future, this would be a multiple site partnership. So again, to be clear, the particular application that's been recommended for funding is on a site that's located in Scott County that's several hundred acres with room to grow. From a funding breakdown, because again, at some point in the not so distant future, the partners will need to kind of dictate how much of the matching dollars that the program requires that they're willing to put up, right? So total funds from the state, from the PDI project, is $4.375 million, right? And if you're doing the math, that's a little less than what you would have expected because of all the counties involved. That's because there were other local projects in some of these jurisdictions that were also requested funding on. But again, for this particular regional project, it's $4.375 million, which would require a one-to-one match, getting you to $8.75 million between the PDI match or the PDI dollars and the match. Specifically from a Madison County perspective, right, there's $2 million of PDI allocation, which can be matched amongst the three partners in this community, which is the county, the city of Berea, and hopefully the city of Richmond. And again, the program is extremely flexible. There's no requirement of who puts what. It can be as much or as little as you want. And I'm not here to ask a number from you, right? I think I'm here just to give you an update for you to continue to consider this and hopefully in the not so distant future come to a conclusion. But an easy way to think about it and what we've modeled, the Mayor Fraley is here and he has been vocal with his community and his city council that, you know, they're prepared, you know, roughly in that $500,000 number, right? Which would mean they would also have $500,000 from PDI for a total of $1 million. The city of Richmond could do the same, and then you could also split it 3 ways, right? That is amongst the partners and the leaders to decide. The program's flexible, but I thought it'd be helpful when you specifically talk about this community, how those dollars can break down, right? Questions, before we do that, I think it'd be helpful if I just kind of shared where we go from here, because we are working towards formal approval with the state. This regional group, since last April, you know, has been meeting and communicating frequently, you know, probably starting in the summer last year. Friday meetings, virtual and in-person started. Those continue, and what we're working on right now is putting the pieces in place to form the regional authority, which is needed to go for approval at the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development, right? So we're working towards doing that right now, which there have been some sample resolutions shared amongst all the partners, and then we are working on the formal application to the Cabinet, which kind of states how all this will be broken up amongst the partners. Our hope is we can receive that formal approval sometime in June or July, just based on how this timing usually works. But I think most of the other partners have approved their resolutions, which is essentially stating, you know, we're working towards forming the regional authority, and then ultimately committing to a dollar component of the project. Obviously, this is a major deal. There's much more from a number perspective that could be discussed, but hopefully that's a decent overview of where we are. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great opportunity to catch up. Appreciate you being willing to come. What questions do you have, Mr. City Manager? Anything you want to take this time? What questions do you have?
Well, you alluded to it just a little bit, but can you help us to understand, like, in terms of the action plan going forward, like kind of the time frame and what the next step is? I think you said it was that we would need to do a resolution, but can you just kind of walk us through that just a little bit, like what's next for us?
The immediate next step, if this is something that the commission wanted to proceed with, would be approving a resolution, which is just stating, you know, whether it's the mayor or a specific commissioner to have the authority to work towards putting that regional authority together. It also is a broad resolution that states sharing in some expenses leading up to that formal approval, which includes some engineering costs to be spent on the site, right? You know, the group right now has already poured some money into hiring a financial advisor, Compass Municipal, who's been helping with a very detailed, we've gone through numerous iterations of the financial model and projections of the deal, and also legal to help set the regional authority. So that resolution would be first, Tammy. And then, you know, the partners are agreeing what they're going to put in and the ownership percentage, which then will take us to formal approval by the Cabinet for Economic Development, which all that is, after you receive that approval, you can start requesting disbursements from the money that you've been approved for.
So if we decide to move forward with the resolution and everything, I think you said this, but the city of Richmond, the mayor / designee, would have a slot on that regional authority, like we would be at the table, right?
Correct. Now, in terms of the actual board members, you know, you all would decide who those board members are of that regional authority, right? And based on the breakdown of everybody's contribution will likely dictate how many members on that regional authority board you will get, right? And our regional attorney, we've been using McBrayer up in Lexington. They've been fabulous. They've walked the group through all this before and would be happy to do the same.
Lucas, just a question along with what Commissioner Cole has just asked. I think in the past 2 or 3 meetings, that level of detail, actually identifying or agreeing to what size that regional authority, that board would be, has not yet been determined. Am I right about that? Or it has been determined with respect to size?
Well, based on statute, it's going to be 6 to 8 members, right? So I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. What other questions, comments?
If I may,
concerns?
I know
Yes, sir,
that-
please.
That you all have approved a letter of intent to participate, but I think there still probably need to be a resolution And then, I would think that in our FY '25 budget, the amount you all decided on, if you wanted to participate, would be included in that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? There being none?
Just
Luke?
in terms of
Yeah.
the time frame, again, you talked about it a little bit, but it sounds like timing is critical here. Am I right, that timing is important?
Yeah, we've gotten to the point where timing is important. To be fully transparent, the city of Lexington's going through the same thing, right? And I think you guys are on the same trajectory, right? But we've had recent really good update meetings with them, and their full intentions are to move forward, right? I can get as deep into the weeds from a timeline perspective as you want, but there does come a time where if we don't get things done fast enough, we eventually won't have enough time to spend the money, right? So I would say getting everything formally approved by the cabinet in June or July is the goal. And right now, we're on track to do that, which would work nicely for the project.
Okay,
Perfect.
Thank you. Anything further? Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah,
And,
thank
then
you all very
We'll
much.
Thanks for
communicate.
coming.
Yeah.
Super. I wanted, once again, for all of us to hear the same information at the same time. So I'm grateful. I think there were two commissioners who, to this point, have sat in on one of the meetings, I believe. And so I just wanted all of us now, as we're at the point of making some kind of determinations, that we'd all hear the same thing.
well, I appreciate that. That was very helpful for me to get my brain wrapped around the total project, so thank you for having that on the agenda.
And also happy to have, I meant to say this earlier, but welcome to the chamber, certainly, County Judge Executive Reagan Taylor, and also Mayor Fraley of Berea. And if I may say so, Mayor, well, I don't think it was done publicly, but the Berea's council has, in fact, if anyone, I'm not sure whether all of you have seen it, maybe not, but there is a resolution that the council of Berea has already done, and I get copies of it to everybody. You can just take a look at it and see what kinds of things are in there, just in case you would want to know how that would proceed, if that's all right with you, Mayor. I'll share it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, anything further? Thank you very much. That was very necessary. A visit that we always look forward to. Phyllis Adams is here with us tonight. Talk about being a children's champion. Incidentally, we know that Lucas is going to do the right thing. I had to get his mother on him. Y'all notice that's the way I usually do things. Just call the
Go after
mamas
their mama.
and tell them we're having a problem. No, we're having absolutely no problem. His mother is the Honorable Kathy Witt, Sheriff of Fayette County. Yeah.
How cool.
All righty. But we really did have a conversation about it. Let's see, Phyllis, it's time to do this again. And this really is, I said to her, this really is a high time for us as we champion for our children. And this is the proclamation, Be a Children's Champion Month. Whereas Madison County values every child and family, and whereas citizens need to care for children and support children's issues, programs, and activities, and whereas government officials, medical professionals, business leaders, church staff, law enforcement, youth leaders, and the media should work together to promote drug prevention and drug education. And whereas citizens throughout Madison County need to help children have the type of environment at school, at child care, and at home that will allow healthy development and appropriate learning opportunities. Now, therefore, I, Robert Blythe, Mayor of the City of Richmond, do hereby proclaim the month of March in the year 2024 as Be a Children's Champion Month in the City of Richmond, Kentucky, in support of the Be a Children's Champion promoted by Children's Champions of Madison County. Phil, as always, it's a great opportunity, but it gives me great joy to make this proclamation. My friend, why don't you come and say something, and then to share this with you. Spencer's trying to snap it.
I really do appreciate the mayor and the commission doing the proclamation, as I do the other city officials and county officials as well. Because the leadership of the county, the leadership in all the governmental agencies, that makes a difference to the people in our county. And I felt so good just listening to some of the things that have gone on already at this meeting about people working together. And I do want to also mention Jimmy Cornelison. At the time that we did a lot of joint work with both cities in the county on drug prevention, Jimmy Cornelison was one of the main ones that was in that group to help us and to guide us in some of the things that we were doing. So, but being a children's champion is so important to me and to a lot of people in this room. Some of you are going to be involved in the Kids Mall Madness, which is coming up on Saturday. And that is another way that we all work together so that parents, family members can bring kids to a safe and happy environment. And why is it important? Why is it important for us to do those sorts of things? Because the more successful that children are and having the proper environment to live in means that they're going to be a successful adult. And that's exactly why we do what we do and promote that. And I will say that the billboard contest is one of the main things. And so this is the winner, Zach Saban Hensley from Shannon Johnson is the winner. And this billboard is actually already up in Madison County.
It looks great.
It will be up
I saw it the other day.
for 2 months. And it just past the railroad tracks here in Richmond, also at the Martin Bypass, and then halfway to Berea. And every year, the children from the elementary schools compete for this. And so, and it helps to get the message out. It helps to get the message out to folks that are just driving by. So we appreciate the school system, not just one, but all of them that participate in this as well. So hopefully you'll enjoy that and stop by, if you would like to stop by the Kids Mall Madness, which is going to be on Saturday from 11 to 1 with a lot of folks. And we appreciate the police chief for saying his kind words for the newspaper as well. But thank you all so very, very much for what you do. I just can't say enough about how important it is for me to be involved with all of you all in being a children's champion. Thank you.
Thank you for what you've done, and for so long. But I have to be honest with you, when you mention children and mall and madness in the same sentence, I get a little nervous. But I'll be all right.
Well, just get your stress ball that's got Kids Mall Madness on it.
Got stress balls.
The children will be getting those at the mall.
We need them.
And I don't know, if everything goes along so well, like it's been going on so far in this meeting, maybe you just throw them and you don't squeeze them.
I actually think that would be kind of fun.
All right. Next part should take only 5 minutes or so. First of all, we have the minutes in our packet from the workshop meeting held January 18 at noon. If you had a chance to look at those, may we have a motion, please, to accept them as given.
I move.
Commissioner Newby,
Second?
Commissioner Goble, is there any question about those minutes? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes, thank you. Order 24-24, an order, the City of Richmond, Kentucky authorizing the purchase of a new driving range ball dispenser. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas the city of Richmond owns a municipal golf course known as the Gibson Bay Golf Course, and whereas the driving range is
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's Order 24-24. May we have a motion, please, to bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
So moved.
Commissioner Cole,
Second.
Commissioner Newby. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, sir, please.
For you all that aren't familiar with this device, it's a self-serving range ball dispenser. So actually, when somebody's out picking up balls on the range, people can go up and get balls now. And it actually makes us more efficient and just a better way to go with it.
May I just comment, things are really going well at the course, and certainly with the new building and the education, so it's
They
fantastic.
got state championship high school banners put up in the building for the girls
Excellent.
and the boys. They look really cool.
Excellent, yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Any further discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Mayor White.
Yes, thank you. Order 24-25, order of the City of Richmond awarding a bid for the operation of frozen treat concessions at Paradise Cove property. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas the city wishes to continue the enhancement at Paradise Cove property with providing citizens the opportunity to purchase frozen treat concessions, and whereas the bid specs were advertised on February 3rd and one bid was submitted, and whereas the bid has been reviewed and a recommendation has been made to accept that bid. Now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that the operation bid of the frozen treat concession for the Lake Reba Paradise Cove property is awarded to Kona Ice of Bluegrass to begin the summer of 2024. The bid is attached to the order. This order shall be in full force and effect upon reading and adoption by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's order 24-25. May we have a motion, please, bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
So moved.
Commissioner Brewer, Commissioner Goble. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I would just say
Yes,
this
sir.
was very popular last year. They were lined up to get this stuff, and they actually, with the commissions we got off of that, was over $19,000 in commissions, so get you some Kona Ice.
Yeah.
Love me some
Yeah.
Kona Ice. They now have a cookie truck too, have you seen that?
Any further discussion?
Ice cream between the,
There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Goble,
yes.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Mayor White.
Yes, thank you. Order 24-26, order of the City of Richmond hiring an employee for the Public Works Department. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas the Public Works Department is in need of an additional full-time equipment operator one, and whereas the position was advertised and interviews conducted, and whereas the city manager has recommended to hire for this position. Now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that the following individuals are hired contingent on their successful completion of the city's pre-employment requirements as equipment operator one for the Public Works Department effective March 11th. Pay grade 2, Randall Matthews is an at-will employee and will serve a one-year probationary period. This order shall be in full force and effect upon reading and adoption by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's order 24-26. May we have a motion, please, and bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
I move.
Commissioner Newby,
Second,
Commissioner Goble. Is there any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
yes.
Mayor White.
Yes, thank you. Would we like to proceed with the executive session now, or should we clear out some of the other matters, Mr. City Manager? What's, Madam Clerk?
Up to y'all.
We want to go ahead and do public comments.
All righty. I think that would be efficient. Is anyone in the audience tonight who's come to make comments before the commission? All right, there being none. Mr. City Manager, how many items will you have in your report?
Just one.
Just one?
I can do it right now if you like.
Let's do that now, please.
I just wanted to update you on the budget amendment. We're having a final meeting tomorrow, hopefully to tie up the loose ends, and first reading will be the first meeting in March. So that's the only update I had.
All right, thank you, sir. And let me go ahead. From the commissioners, Commissioner Newby.
I don't have anything.
All right, Commissioner Cole.
No, just one thing. I just appreciate Kentucky League of Cities inviting all cities and the city of Richmond up tomorrow to Frankfurt for City Day, when we can have time with our legislators to talk about road projects and other things that we want to advocate for the city. So I know some of us plan to attend that. I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. And it's always, Kentucky League of Cities does a really good job of organizing those events and helping us, maximize our time. So looking forward to that tomorrow.
Yes, indeed, thank you. Commissioner Brewer?
I don't have anything, Mayor.
All righty. Commissioner Goble?
I just would like for us to revisit the animal control. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I'd like to understand better about it, but possibly looking at that, as a partnership again and see what we need to do there.
Did we buy a truck?
We did, so we supported the animal shelter for many, many years, and I think it was 2021, there was a intergovernment meeting at the Extension Office, all three governments. And during that meeting, there was concern about the city not getting enough support for animal control from the shelter. And they do have limited resources, so that's understanding. So the board at that time voted not to fund the shelter. We've gone down the road of purchasing a vehicle with the camper on it that meets all the guidelines, and looking at hiring a codes enforcement officer. So I can certainly reach out to the county and see what kind of partnership there is for us to reactivate that. And I can also get you a history of that partnership, because I know prior to me and a long time ago, in the last 10, 15 years, there was a trade out between animal shelter and recycling services. So I'll get that history for you as well.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Some of that
Get the cost
stemmed,
of that truck, I'd like to know what that costs.
Okay.
some of that stemmed from, Commissioner Goble, stemmed from the fact that our department was having trouble getting calls answered.
Right.
And so we moved in the direction we did after having conversations.
Sure.
Yes, indeed. Anything else? Commissioner Goble?
No,
Anything
that's
else?
all.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Just very quickly then, this footprints book that was issued last week, week before, whenever it was, when the program was held, the Tourism Commission and Madison County Historical Society here in this room, book, it was free, but it's sold out. And they had to order some more, which is a really good thing. The schools are planning to put it in all of their sites and whatever. Excellent, excellent publication, and certainly, hopefully, will begin something further. Had a chance to visit three of our schools, well, two of our schools, the Clark Morris Middle School on Monday. Had a wonderful time. I just want to tell you there's hope. Shelby, there's hope. Those kids asked wonderful questions. They answered mine well with substance. Some of them were very honest and open personally, and it was just a wonderful time. So there is hope. That's my report regarding them. I was at Central this morning in their celebration, part of their celebration of Black History Month, and it was just absolutely awesome just to mingle with some of the kids and that kind of thing. And then this afternoon, I was with the Richmond Teen Center as they celebrated also Black History Month, and they had a couple of folks there and some eats, and great job they're doing there still. That's it. Now, may we have a motion, please, that we will go into executive session according to KRS 61.810, subsection 1, subsub C, regarding pending litigation. Also, 61.810, subsection 1, subsub C, regarding personnel.
So moved.
Commissioner Cole,
Second.
Commissioner Goble. Madam Clerk, please.
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you. You're welcome. All right, may we have a motion, please, that we will return to, we will exit the executive session and return to regular session, no action having been taken.
So moved.
Commissioner Cole,
Second?
Commissioner Goble. Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Mayor Blight?
Yes, thank you. All hearts and minds clear?
Yes, sir.
All righty. That being the case, we entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Mayor Blight?
Yes, thank you. Good night, folks, and thank you so much. Those children do such a wonderful job on those posters they made.
They're good.
Wow.